كلا والله ما جعل لك ذلك إلا أن تخرج من ملتنا وتدين بغير ديننا، وما أظنك إلا كذلك.
Assalamu alaikum brothers and sisters, and welcome to my show Future Stars. I'm your host Alvia Zaidi, and today we will be talking about Imam Hassan alayhi salam. He is our second Imam, and we will be talking a bit about his life, his characteristics, and also his personality. So to join me today we have Sister Amal, and she'll be joining in with stories and also a craft later on in today's show. So to start off, Sister Amal will be giving us a few facts and some information about Imam Hassan.
His name was Al-Hassan, his title was Al-Mujtaba, his agnomen was Abu Muhammad, his father's name was Ali Amir al-Mu'mineen, his mother's name was Fatima, daughter of the Holy Prophet. He was born in Medina on Tuesday, 15th Ramadan, 3 AH. He died at the age of 46 in Medina on Thursday, 28th Safar, 50 AH. He's buried in Jannat al-Baqi in Medina. Imam Hassan alayhi salam was the eldest son of Imam Ali and Hazrat Fatima. When the Holy Prophet received the happy news of the birth of his grandson, he came to the house of his beloved daughter, took the newly born child in his arms, recited the adhan and iqamah in his right and left ears respectively, and the compliments of Allah's command named Al-Hassan.
MashaAllah, thank you very much, and thank you very much for sharing those few facts with us. So those were just a few facts about Imam Hassan alayhi salam, and now we're going to move on to some information that I have here about his birth and his childhood. In the mid-month of Ramadan, in the third year of Hijrah, a son was born in the small mud house of Imam Ali alayhi salam and Bibi Fatima alayhi salam. Through Allah's command, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, named the son Hassan. Imam Hassan was raised by Imam Ali and Bibi Fatima and learnt lessons from his grandfather. Imam Hassan had a great worth and was of high status in the eyes of the Holy Prophet. One day when the Holy Prophet was delivering a speech, he heard Imam Hassan crying. The Prophet stopped his speech just to comfort Imam Hassan. When he returned, he continued the speech. The people asked why he left. The Prophet replied, "Whenever I hear Hassan weeping, I get restless." The Prophet often told his followers that whoso loves me must love Hassan as well. The Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, also said that Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein are the two chiefs of the youths of paradise. So that's just a short story just to explain a bit about the birth and the childhood of Imam Hassan alayhi salam. And now we're going to move on to another story that Sister Mal has for us, and this is just going to be a bit about his characteristics and his imamate.
The researchers who examined the life of the Holy Prophet's grandson, Imam Hassan, and his brother Imam Hussein alayhi salam, can't help drawing the conclusion that they enjoyed a high level of education and spiritual and ideological upbringing. When no other person had one the next to their grandfather, mother and father. The imprints of revelation and divine care marked the characters in all its aspects, ingredients and angles. They were highly refined and brought up the line with Islam's teachings by the grandfather, the Messenger of Allah. The father Imam Ali alayhi salam and the mother Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam through excellent examples and great daily guidance. Although they lost both their grandfather and mother at an early age, the upbringing suffered no interruption. The father Imam Ali alayhi salam shade over them. There was no doubt that Imam Hussein and Imam Hassan alayhi salam ended up in stage of divine preparation. They were prepared to shoulder the responsibility of the divine message in form and content. As the ingredients of the characters of two Imams were the same, they were singular in their behaviour, march, steps and goals, which were Islamic in their entirety.
Thank you very much. much, and thank you very much for sharing that story with us. So that was just a bit more information about the characteristics of Imam Hassan alayhi salam. And also I'd just like to ask Sister Amal, what do you think that we could learn from this story and what it shows about Imam Hassan's life?
I think this story describes the characteristics of Imam Hassan and his piety and how we should follow his footsteps.
Mashallah, thank you very much, and thank you very much for sharing that with us. So that was just explaining a bit more about Imam Hassan alayhi salam. And to explain further about his morals, I have a story here about his anger management. So one day, the maid of our second Imam, Imam Hassan alayhi salam, dropped a hot bowl of soup on him. She was very scared because she thought that he would be very angry. She immediately recited the ayah, "Those who control their anger," and Imam Hassan alayhi salam smiled and said he was not angry. She then recited the next part of the ayah, "and are forgiving towards people." Imam Hassan said that she had forgiven her. She then finished the ayah and said, "Allah loves those who do good." Imam Hassan alayhi salam told her that she was free. The above ayah is from the Holy Quran, from Surah Imran, Surah 3, verse 134. And the moral is that the Holy Quran is not just there to read, but to learn from and act upon. It is the word of Allah and teaches us everything we need to know if only we understood it. So that was just to explain a bit about the characteristics of Imam Hassan alayhi salam and also his feelings towards other people and his considerations of the Quran. So after the break, we will be continuing after the break just to explain a bit more about Imam Hassan alayhi salam and also reading a few more stories. So join us after the break to learn a bit more.
كلا والله ما جعل لك ذلك إلا أن تخرج من ملتنا وتدين بغير ديننا وما أظنك إلا كذلك.
Sisters, and welcome back to Future Stars. I'm your host Alvia Zaidi, and we've been talking about Imam Hassan alayhi salam, and let me just reintroduce my guest. Today we have Sister Amal, and she's been joining in with stories and also answering a couple of questions. And we've just been giving some information about Imam Hassan alayhi salam, his characteristics and type of person that he was. So we're just going to continue with some stories. So Sister Amal is going to start off by reading a story for us about respecting your enemies.
One day he was crossing the street riding a horse. On the way he came across a man who was one of the enemies of the Ahlul Bayt. When that man knew his Imam Hassan alayhi salam, he started using it in respectful language. Imam alayhi salam stopped and listened to him, and then facing him he said, "I think you are a traveller and a stranger, and not a local person. You have been provoked by the enemies about us, and their false words about us. You have made you bad and pessimistic about us. If you have a need, I may fulfill that need. If you are hungry, I will order to feed you. If you require a dress of clothes, I will order to dress you up. If you don't have a residence slip, I will take you along with me to my house and extend the hospitality and give you treatment." When that disrespectful person heard those words from Imam alayhi salam, he got very much ashamed and repented. He was so upset and uneasy about what he had said, he started weeping and apologized and said, "The words of your enemies had affected me, but this event, you and your father were the greatest enemies of mine among all people. But now that I have witnessed this courtesy of yours, you are the most respectful and gracious people among I have ever met."
MashaAllah, thank you very much, and thank you very much for sharing that story with us. So that was just a quick story to explain a bit more about the characteristics of Imam Hassan alayhi salam. And now we're going to move on to a story that I have here, and this is a well-known story that dictates an account of what happened with Imam Hassan alayhi salam and doing good. An old man sat to do his wudu, but his wudu was not correct. Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein alayhi salam, the grandsons of the Prophet, watched him. They immediately realised the old man was not doing his wudu correctly, but hesitated to tell him directly. Perhaps the old man would feel humiliated, or might even lose interest in the act of worship. Sitting next to him, they started doing their wudu. During the wudu, Imam Hassan alayhi salam said, "O Hussein, my wudu is correct and more perfect than yours." In reply, Imam Hussein insisted that his own wudu was better than Imam Hassan's. Finally, they said, "Let us refer to this gentleman. He is older than us and should be able to decide." The old man was listening patiently. The boys performed their wudu under his supervision, one after the other. And when they had finished, he realised that wudu done by the boys was correct. It was his own wudu that was incorrect. Turning to them, he said, "The wudu done by you is correct. I am grateful that you chose to guide me in such a kind manner." Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein never criticised the old man, nor reproached him of his ignorance of ruling Islam. Moreover, they did not refer to his way performing wudu, or they did not call his action void. Instead, they asked him to check themselves. Indeed, having good morals is the best way of criticism and education. It is so important that according to Imam Hassan, the best of the best is having good morals. So that story is just to explain an event that occurred during the time of Imam Hassan alayhi salam's life, and it's explaining a bit about being good and being helpful towards others, but doing it in a kind manner. So to continue on with purity and kindness, Sister Mal has a story for us, and this is just to explain a bit more about Imam Hassan alayhi salam.
Imam Hassan alayhi salam was the most pious, devout worshipper and adorer of God. Whenever he went to Mecca for pilgrimage, he would be walking on foot. Whenever he performed wudu or stood for his prayers, he saw himself in the courts of God and his body started trembling. He said, "This time has come for me to submit the deposit of God to him." When he came to mosque, he would raise his hand in the prayer place and towards the sky and say, "Oh God, this is your guest standing in your court. Your servant has come towards you, and he hopes that you will forgive his bad deeds for virtue of your kindness and forgiveness."
Thank you very much, and thank you for sharing that story with us. So that was just another quick story to explain a bit more about Imam Hassan alayhi salam. And I have a story here which is going to explain about the charity of Imam Hassan. So this is giving you a few accounts of what happened, and there'll be 3 stories which explain it. So first of all, a person went to Imam Hassan alayhi salam and said that poverty and bad luck is torturing him. And then he continued to say that Imam Hassan was of a family of purity and perfection, and the man wanted to be saved from the cruelty. The Imam called his servant and said, "How much money do you have available?" The servant replied, 5,000 dinars. He said, "Give all your money to this man, so that may be of his business and life and may relieve himself of poverty." Another story says, one day Imam Hassan alayhi salam went to the house of God. In the very condition he was busy praying, he heard a man addressing Allah and said, "O Allah, I need 10,000 dirhams to get it shaped as the capital of my life, and you, the merciful one, can give it to me." The Imam heard this and returned and gave the said amount to him. And a third account says, a poor and distressed man came to the Imam and recited a rhyme, meaning thereby, "I am left over with nothing, not even a single dirham. You can perceive my condition fully well and know it. I know you are the purchaser and buyer of it." The Imam said, "At once call my servants," and asked him, "Whatever money you have with you, give it to this man." The servant gave the man 10,000 dirhams. Imam Hassan alayhi salam asked the servant to make an excuse as well, because he did not possess more than the amount given to him. He advised him to take the money and use it for his life and get rid of poverty and distress. So these 3 accounts of events that occurred during the life of Imam Hassan alayhi salam shows about how he was thoughtful and considerate of others and gave charity to his followers, just to help them live their lives in a better manner and also get rid of any issues that they had. So Though all this information that we've shared today has been explaining about Imam Hassan alayhi salam, it's explained about the type of person he was, and also Sister Amal shared with us earlier a few stories explaining about his characteristics and his interest in imamat and also his spiritual well-being. So it all puts together to explain about the type of person Imam Hassan alayhi salam was, and the stories that we've read today explain about how we can follow in his footsteps, and we can give charity like the story I've just read, or we can be kind to our enemies just like a story that Sister Mal read for us. So that finishes off about Imam Hassan alayhi salam, but if you join us after the break, we will be doing a craft which will kind of link in with Imam Hassan alayhi salam, and it will show you a bit more about purity and also helping others and being kind. So join us after the break for that.
كلا والله ما جعل لك ذلك إلا أن تخرج من ملتنا وتدين بغير ديننا وما أظنك إلا كذلك.
Assalamualaikum brothers and sisters, and welcome back to Future Stars. I'm your host Alvia Zaidi, and we are now into the craft segment of today's show. And previously on the show we've been joined by Sister Amal, and we've been just talking about Imam Hassan alayhi salam, talking about his life, his characteristics and the type of person he was. So now we're going to move on to our craft, which Sister Amal will be joining in with today, and we'll be teaching you how to make little tulips out of origami paper. So we've done it previously on the show, teaching you about origami, and it's a Japanese paper art, and all you need is one simple square piece of paper, and we'll be teaching you how to make these today. So first of all you'll need is one square piece of paper, and the size depends on the size of your tulip, and we've chosen to do it in pink, but of course you can choose whichever colour that you like. And the first thing that you'll need to do is take your square piece of paper, and you're going to need to fold it in half, but by the corner to the other corner. So you're just going to fold that in half, like so. And then you're going to turn it so the flat base is on the end. And then what you need to do is take one side, one corner, and you're just going to fold it up to the other side. So if I show you, you'll be taking one corner and fold it roughly from the middle. So as you can see, pretend there's a line down the middle. So you'll be taking the corner up from the middle, but then folding it so it just sticks out the side of the edge of the triangle. And then what you're going to need to do is take the other corner and fold it over the line made, like so. And then it comes up on both corners. And then what you need, so I'll just show you that again. So you've got your triangle piece of paper from the bottom, and you'll be taking from the corner, from the middle rather, you'll be taking the corner and folding it up so it reaches the other side. So it folds in the middle, and then also comes out on the edge, and you'd be folding the other side over it. So now you have your shape like this, and you could leave it like this and stick a stem on the back, but just to give it more shape, what we're going to do is take the bottom corner and fold it forward and upwards, only by a little bit. You don't have to fold it fully, just to square off the base, and then you turn it around and you've made your tulip. So that is how to make a tulip in Japanese origami paper craft, and it's a really simple thing that you can do. It's a great idea. You can do it with your friends or your family. It's a nice little craft idea just to keep any ideas going, and you can use it as maybe a bookmark if you wanted to, or you can write notes on it or anything. You can use it in whichever way you'd like to. And Sister Mal made hers as well, and mashallah, that looks really, really nice. So that is how to make an origami tulip, and I'd like to say thank you very much for watching, as that finishes today's show. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's show, and also thank you to Sister Mal for coming along today, joining in with stories and also the craft. So thank you for watching. I'm your host Alvia Zaidi, and this was Future Stars. Wallah Hafiz.
كلا والله ما جعل لك ذلك إلا أن تخرج من ملتنا وتدين بغير ديننا، وما أظنك إلا كذلك.